A new law in California could send hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money, supposedly earmarked for COVID relief, to a new diversity and inclusion initiative, because we can always use another diversity inclusion initiative. No matter how many of them we have, there's always room for one more. Kenny Xu just wrote an op-ed on this topic for the Wall Street Journal. He's also the author of An Inconvenient Minority, and he joins us to explain. Kenny, these are supposedly serious times. We've got a pandemic, we've got masks, we've got vaccines, and yet, bizarrely enough, during this last year and a half, all this diversity inclusion racket seems to have uniquely prospered, and even with funds that are supposedly earmarked for COVID relief.
Yes, Mark, and I talk about in my book, An Inconvenient Minority, the price that we pay for diversity and inclusion. And to the American taxpayer, it's very high, because Biden directed $2 billion to California's public schools for COVID relief. But a lot of that money can go to ethnic studies because he made a loophole. He said, you can direct this money to initiatives that prioritize Black and Hispanic students in the name of equity. So what did they say would prioritize Black and Hispanic students? Ethnic studies. And here are the facts, Mark. Ethnic studies does not help Black and Hispanic Americans. You know, ethnic studies actually causes Black and Hispanic Americans to self-stereotype, which evidence shows results in lower performance on tests because they believe that they're racially not capable of achieving. It also many of these ethnic studies classes are actually taught in Spanish in the name of racial authenticity, which actually increases the achievement gap between Latino Americans who need to learn English and the rest of America. And then finally, you know, I've seen equity initiatives, hundreds of millions of dollars spent, $140 million were spent in Montgomery County in the name of equity, and 4 years of that spending achieved nothing for Black and Hispanic Americans. It did not decrease the achievement gap, it actually increased it. So I cannot let a parasitic ideology take over the minds of young minority children, and this is why I'm fighting it with my book, An Inconvenient Minority, and my group, Color Us United, colorusunited.org.
Well, it's a fascinating book, and you're quite right, Kenny. As I said at the beginning, it's a racket, and it's disturbing that so many otherwise apparently sane people do not see what a racket it is. Thank you for laying that out for people this evening. Thank you, Kenny.